I'd like to bring this meeting to order for the Town of Brunswick Planning Board for September 1st, 2022. If everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, our agenda this evening is as follows. Number 1, Atlas Renewables, North Troy Solar, special use permit and site plan. Applicant seeks to construct a commercial solar collector facility on property located off Oakwood Avenue and Farrell Road. Atlas Renewables LLC is the applicant. Number 2, Bailey special use permit. Applicant seeks approval for a small-scale ground-mounted solar facility on property located at 197 Folsom Road. Kevin Bailey is the applicant. Number 3, Bone Steel waiver of subdivision. Applicant seeks a lot line adjustment on property located at 6 Elmview Drive. David Bone Steel and Joanne Bone Steel are the applicants. In addition to our regular agenda, we also have several items on the new business. One in particular is Sagebrook, and a couple others that we'd like to be addressing. So first on our business agenda is the review and approval of the minutes from August 18th, 2022. Has everybody an opportunity to read those? Are there any corrections, amendments, additions to those minutes? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve the minutes as they have been submitted. Do I have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, first on our agenda is the Atlas Renewables. Good evening, how are you tonight?
Thank you for the meeting. In the last meeting, we had a opportunity to review the public hearing, the comments and answers that we produced for the public hearing. During this review, one of the comments is that
You're gonna have to speak up.
absolutely yes.
John, yeah, just work a little closer to the mic, please.
Okay,
There you go.
better now?
Yeah.
In this review, one of the points that come up is that we propose to remove the stumps, which potentially could affect the disturbance of the land. We have been reviewing with the town engineer, and we have an email with the running and the proposal from the town engineer. We are okay with this proposal. So if that's the only question, we are fine with this.
Let me elaborate. Here's what I wrote back to the applicant. Under normal circumstances, clearing and grubbing land would count as disturbance that needs post-construction management. However, New York State DEC put out a memo in 2018 that provides exceptions to the rule. For the actual panels, the disturbance caused by clearing and grubbing tree removal does not count towards the requirements for post-construction management. Still need to provide erosion sediment control during construction. For the access road and any equipment paths, the clearing and grubbing tree removal counts towards the area of disturbance for which post-construction stormwater practices would be required, which they have done. The stormwater design will need to account for treatment of water quality volume and runoff reduction for this area of disturbance. We indicated that in our review of the plans and the slip. That we did when we did.
So basically, there's no need to amend the scope.
No.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that?
Linda, I believe you were the one that brought that up.
No, I brought it up.
Well, you two are going back and forth according to the minutes. I wasn't here. Okay. there anything else in regards to the response to the comments that we have to address?
No, I think he adequately provided response to any technical issues that have come up during the public hearing.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on the responses to the public hearing? So at this point, we've had a public hearing. The applicant has responded to those comments that were heard. We have addressed the removal of trees and stumps for that. So now, from an engineering point of view, is there anything else that we have to address on this?
No, I've had a couple of rounds of comments and they've addressed them. I don't have anything else to add.
Do you have anything that you would like to add to your presentation?
Nothing else. If I'm not wrong, the next step will be September 19th, that we have to go through the zoning board. We still need the approval from the zoning board on the 7 poles or 9 poles crossing the former municipality incinerator and connecting to the interconnection point. And then if I'm not wrong, in the last meeting, we mentioned that the next planning board will be October 6th, and it is October 6th, maybe it will be the final planning board meeting, if my recollection is correct.
At this point, you could put a preliminary draft together for a resolution. Is that correct?
We could, Wayne, remind me, seeker-wise, we coordinated lead agency with planning boards, the lead agency. We've not yet made a seeker determination.
That's correct.
So that should be on the planning board's agenda for your next meeting on the 15th, which will then be prior to the zoning board meeting on the 19th. Seeker will need to be addressed before the zoning board could act. So I think the next order of business will be a seeker determination on September 15th at your meeting.
Okay. And just as a follow-up to the zoning board is on the 18th?
The 19th.
19th.
Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we couldn't act anywhere at all before that determination was made, because that's going to probably be part of the resolution, I would assume.
Correct.
So as far as the timetable, the 15th, we're going to do a secret determination. On the 6th, I believe it is that correct? The first meeting in October? We would have a draft resolution by that point, based on the determination of the zoning board to review. And would we have that before that meeting to review?
Yes.
Okay. And then possibly take action on October 6th. That's pretty much what you outlined just now. All right? Okay, do we need any other presentations that you want? Are you set up for it? Is there anything new that we should?
We have a couple of additional projects in the town of Woodley. We're still discussing with the zoning board, so we cannot jump into these additional projects to the planning board. Maybe in a couple of months, maybe we can address these two additional solar projects in the town of Woodley with the planning board, but at this moment it's too early to say.
Okay. So with that being said, I guess we will put you on the agenda for our next meeting on the 15th.
Thank you.
All right? I believe that should cover tonight's item.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, second on our agenda is the Bailey special use permit. What are you doing tonight?
Hi, thanks, you. So, the last meeting, there was some question about the roof shed from the location of panels. So, I'm prepared with some photos. I also sent photos to Mr. Goldman since that last meeting.
Did you distribute those? I know I got it in the packet that I picked up today. I think those are the photos you talked about. They have like a before and after with blue squares on it where the solar panels are gonna be. Is that the?
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay. Disregard that. Strike that. Wayne, how close is this to the solar field that we look at and include
It's 2 lots down.
two lots back? Will you answer that question?
There was some discussion about there being an issue at the last meeting with panels on the road. I have explained that the setback of these would be at least twice of what you see on that other residential system.
All right.
And that was that's what spurred this conversation with asking for these panels.
Okay.
So if you look at number 1, that's looking west. The solar panels would be on the right side of the photo. That tree on the border would be actually removed. Those 2 trees that are fairly symmetrical would stay. And I'm standing about maybe 10 feet, 15 feet off the road. This picture.
Okay.
If you look at the second photo, that's looking east. You can actually see the house on the left side of the photo. And you can barely see a sliver of the road on the lower edge of that photo. Sort of the berm because the septic is in the front yard here.
Mhm.
And so, there's some,
When you say house, that's the house on Bolster Road on the other side of the road?
that's the homeowner's house. Mr. Glynn's here tonight. We're proposing to install
Oh, okay.
the system.
All right.
And then on the third photo looking south, there's a home across the street with quite a bit of natural screening in front of it that will grow up and be provided more screening as time goes on here. So
You're
that's
saying
really,
these weeds and brush is gonna grow up and hide a solar panel on top of a 6-foot post?
well, that's not the homeowner's land, so I guess if the other owner cut it, then it would not. But that house is probably 600-800 feet away from the location of the spot.
You had mentioned photograph 1.
Yeah,
That you would have to clear trees to the far, and in this case, it's the far right here.
yeah, just the one tree. Yeah, it's sort of deformed and, as the homeowner put it, sort of unattractive. So,
Okay.
That's the same tree as in photo 2.
no, that's a different tree. That's the one just to the left of that photo.
Were these trees planted by the homeowner? Okay.
In photo 3, where's the road?
It's kind of down the hill.
Left or right of the picture?
It runs the whole, width of that photo, if you will.
On the other side of that house or the?
No, it's on the in between the house and where I'm standing.
And the road's pretty close to the house.
Which house?
There's only one house in the picture.
That house, that, I don't know how far back that house is set off the road, it might be 100 feet. 200 feet.
See in the site plan. Those. All
This
elm
is,
trees,
this
right?
statement that says here, more expansive utility options are available on site. To the property.
More expansive utility options?
Number 2, on page 3.
Like there's a photo?
The one does, so.
Okay.
Did you read the whole? Yeah.
The application explain how the proposed special use appropriately approximately located with respect to transportation.
Oh, just meaning the utility grid is available, basically? So, that's all.
Wayne, do you have any questions?
Not really.
That's the
No.
pool.
Does anybody have any additional questions on this application?
I do.
Okay.
I'm concerned about this neighborhood view.
Mhm.
I don't see this stuff growing up and blocking view, whether it's 100 feet away or 600 feet away, it's still gonna see it.
Yeah.
What can we do about that?
Well, we'll be having a public hearing, I assume, as part of this, and we'll have the chance to speak with that homeowner at that time.
He's outside, if he's 600 or 800 feet away, he's outside of 300 notification.
Yeah, the property line isn't,
No, the property.
the property line is less than that.
You're right, though. This special use permit requires a public hearing. I think at this point, we're trying to determine whether there's sufficient information, the application is complete to a point where we can present this information to the public so we can have a public hearing. That's what I'm trying to determine now. Would you say Wayne, would you say this application is complete?
It includes those cut sheets of the panels with the application. So you can see what it looks like in elevation view.
Yeah, there was a note, I wasn't
got
at the
that
last
in the
meeting.
email.
I saw that in the minutes that you had mentioned cut sheets. Did you receive those?
I did. I don't know if everybody got those or not, or whether the building department got those. In the event somebody wants to come and look at the application, they should be part of the application.
Okay. They're not included in the material we got tonight.
I sent them to everyone on August 22nd, 9:25 a.m. to the entire board, the spec sheets.
Okay. I must have missed that one. I haven't read it. But I think you're right, I think it should be included in the packet of information. Okay?
And I sent the photos out 5 minutes after that.
What's the size of this panel? I mean, 36 panels, that's a lot of panels for a house.
Yeah, so each pole mount is 16.5 feet wide.
I'm sorry.
Each, so there's 3 pole mounts, each of them is 16.5 wide. And lengthwise, it's about 13 feet.
So each panel, okay, is probably what, 3 by 5,
A little bigger, yeah.
somewhere in there? I mean, I have solar panels on my house, and I have nowhere near 36 panels. I'm wondering why so many.
Well, the homeowner installed geothermal heating, and that's using more electricity, basically. And so the desire was to, net zero their usage with the appropriate number of panels.
That's the answer I was looking
Is there any size requirements as far as maximum number of panels, like these type of applications? You know, is there guidelines? to them?
Yeah, there's a net metering limitation with utility that's at 25 kilowatts. We are roughly half of that.
Okay.
Um,
So technically, instead of 36 panels, you could have 72 panels? Is that what you-
It's more on the inverter, AC rating as opposed to the DC side of the system,
Okay.
but yeah, roughly.
All right.
But it's really Sunny's part of the house. The back has the infrastructure for the geothermal. So it would be tough sledding back there to do that. So we thought this was a pretty good, certainly a productive spot in terms of the open sky and sort of setback in accordance with the zoning regulations for setbacks.
Just as a clarification on this aerial photo, we have the solar panels indicated as those blue squares.
Yeah,
Would it be safe to assume, I would assume, and then in photograph 3, that's the house you're talking about?
that's correct, yeah.
And then the vegetation is right here, is that correct?
Yeah.
And that would be part of 6 Winfield Lane. Okay?
I was guessing that was 6 as well.
All right.
And then they will be noticed because they're within 300 feet.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. I think we can schedule a public hearing, provided all the information, including that Wayne indicated with the cut sheets as part of the information available to the public, for the public hearing. We can schedule, we can't schedule it for our next meeting. We have already a public hearing for that meeting, and it's too close of a time period to properly notify. So, without any objections from the board, I don't see why we can't schedule the public hearing for the first meeting in October, which I think we determined was the 6th.
Yeah.
All right?
The 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right?
All right, very good.
Anybody have any?
First thing at 7?
Yeah, 7 o'clock. So I don't think there's any other further questions. I think we're all done for this evening. Okay? Thank you. Okay, third on our agenda is Bone Steel, waiver of subdivision.
We did not receive any surveys from those folks yet.
Okay? And I understand by reading the minutes that initially they just gave you tax map. That's right. So they know what they need. Okay, then I would say that it's going to be adjourned with no date at this point. And that concludes our regular agenda. Next on our meeting agenda is the new business. And first on that is going to be
Should be coming down.
Sagebrook. Sagebrook Associates, and this is for a minor subdivision. How are you tonight?
Very well, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'm Matt Bonner with Barber Engineering, on behalf of Sagebrook Associates, presenting Spring Landing Estates. Give everyone given a packet this evening. We were in front of the board a handful of months back, I'm not sure if you remember this one, but this is the remaining 22.7 acre parcel at the end of Spring Landing Boulevard, Newtown. We're proposing a 3-lot minor subdivision separating as shown on our site plan here. I'm presenting page C101 just for reference. During our initial, well, I'll just cover the site zoning real quick. So it's in the R25 zoning, which as you can see, we have no issue meeting the 25,000 square foot zoning setbacks, building setbacks, anything of that sort. Proposed to have on-site drill wells and on-site wastewater treatment systems. The soil testing has already been completed, and the septic systems themselves are into Rensselaer County for review. We're hoping to hear back in the next week or so on that. A couple of the items that were brought up during our prior presentation, the main concern was fire access that the board expressed. So we made sure to address that. Here you can clearly see there's sufficient space to construct 3 driveways with adequate width, turnouts provided at a maximum 500 feet distance for emergency vehicles having access to property, and then turnarounds as you get closer to the house, providing that 20 by 50 turnaround. The other question or concern was the site topography, making sure that we could maintain 10% or less grade on the driveways. And you can see on our proposed grading, we do a little bit of grading for these lots. We're identifying this as lot number 1, lot number 2, and lot number 3. Really, the only lot of concern was lot number 3, maintaining less than 10% grade, and we were able to achieve that. Anything else really identifying on the map? So, and we also provided, because it will be disturbing greater than an acre of land, in the plan set, you'll see proposed road and sediment control plan and details as well. We did include the plan sheets that were submitted to the county for the septic designs, just for reference. So there. Any questions I can field from the board?
The one question I have, just and maybe a topo issue.
Sure.
This house here
Yes.
seems to have some type of honey on this spring landing board.
Yeah, it actually, it just comes to a point, you're talking about right here?
Yeah,
Yeah, it just comes to a point, there's not adequate access there. And yeah, the topography, here climbs up rather abruptly.
okay.
So to access with the driveway there would be very difficult. A lot of earthwork moving, not to mention the fact that there's not sufficient frontage there. It just comes to a point.
Okay.
Yeah, the frontage is all in this location.
Okay.
Does he need an ag data statement?
Is it in that district?
R25 is the zoning district.
Right, but is it in one of the state certified ag districts?
It's not, it's a gravel pit.
Correct. Within 500 feet of an ag district, where there's an active
Could
farm?
be, lands coming off from an show.
Let me take a look.
How close are you to the Mention?
To where?
The Mention Lane, which would be, I assume,
Yes,
to the,
yes, correct. I passed this on.
but none of the property for Sagebrook Associates is up to the Mention.
I can never remember the keyhole lot. Rule, do we have enough frontage?
15 feet.
So you're looking at this lot here, and probably Jim Sullivan would be the closest over here, right?
Right, or, may I use the term flag lot?
Like, well,
Flag lot,
Come on,
minimum of 15 feet of frontage.
why are you picking up that line?
On an approved public road.
and then was there any discussion about potentially
716?
combining those 3 driveways for some distance?
685,
So there's
I
not
don't know what the rule is.
500.
30 feet of pavement or,
Yes, yeah, that would
Yeah, it's
be
supposed to be
preferred
500.
likely with a shared driveway agreement. But one of the items that the board requested was just to show that you could indeed, there were neighbor feud, I suppose, have 3
Yeah,
separate
you gotta come off
driveways.
right
So
there.
there is sufficient frontage there.
It looks like
Each lot has over 20 feet of frontage on Spring Lane Boulevard. So
Those two, the driveways come
it
in.
would be preferred, it's gonna be less disturbance, less pavement, all those things. So that's definitely the preferred way, but it is doable and achievable to construct it in this fashion.
oh, and the stormwater coming off the driveways into that adjacent lot. that's
You're
already
700 feet from here to there.
I don't know how the contours run
This is-
in that area, but
This is the lot that divides
would
right here.
would it run
This is a lawn.
going downhill toward the
8 feet.
road?
I'm sorry, this lot here?
I'm not aware of
So,
Jim
yeah,
cutting
that
anything in
one-
there.
Does it receive
that's all
those
people's
3
property.
driveways runoff?
No, these driveways drain off. This is the a significant portion of lot number 3. Lot number 3 is actually the horseshoe shape. That's what it'll end up being. So, a large portion of the runoff
the question.
travels into, there's an existing kind of low-lying area here, so it'll travel there. And the intent is for the rest of the water to drain to the existing drainage along Spring Landing.
Thank
So,
That's all the land you own there, or there's more?
this is the full 22.7 acres.
Now, do you own more land there?
In the subdivision,
Yeah.
there's a parcel here where there's a detention pond.
Okay. What about the rest of the loop there?
Yep, that's gonna be part of lot number 2. So lot number,
All the way over here?
correct. Yeah, that's also, there's a low-lying area here as well.
It looks pretty wet.
It is, yeah, it is. I believe it's on the state mapper as wetlands. So that area is gonna be part of lot number 2. So lot number 1 is gonna be 3 to 4 acres. Lot number 2 is going to be this long shape here. Lot number 3 is gonna be this U-shaped lot. So they're each gonna be close, 2 and 3 are gonna be closer to 10 acres. Lot number 1 is gonna be 3 to 4 acres.
And what's in the bottom of
Down here, yep, this is another kind of low-lying area. Yeah, this is where a lot of the subdivision drains to currently, and the detention basins here.
No, it's driveways will go to that,
Right,
those driveways will go to that detention basin?
yeah, this grades off to the basin, and these will continue, the stretch will drain towards the existing drainage on Spring Landing Boulevard.
So driveways are just gonna shed off and then most of it, and then close to the cul-de-sac it'll go.
Yeah, ideally, it'd be constructed as one larger shared driveway up until this point, where it would then branch off. But yeah, it would be pitched to send drainage into the low-lying area where it currently drains to maintain that existing drainage pattern. And then as you get closer to the Spring Landing, it would be picked up by the roadside ditch there.
Is there a boulevard out there? You have a grass strip down at the beginning of that street driveway?
They are all separated. Is spacing between the driveways or at the beginning of that?
think he's talking about this light colored strip that seems to be between the driveway for
Okay.
one and three.
Yep, so that's, just gonna be like the drainage path between the driveways.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be grass. If three are constructed.
The detention pond is a homeowners association, or is that?
That I am not sure, I have to get that answer for you.
What is the exact number of existing building lots there? Let's see, it was as high as 31.
In the original development,
Yeah. How many houses do you have in the original development? Yeah.
How many houses in the original development?
Yeah.
I think it was. Boy, I have to rethink that. I can't remember the number off the top of my head.
I mean, on this particular drawing, I see a number as high as number 31.
Okay.
So I would assume
That sounds
there's
about
at least 31.
yeah.
Hey, Wayne, do you have any engineering questions at this point?
There's a lot of thoughts going on in my head, but I'm trying to do that.
I get a count of 35,
Well, I don't wanna.
if you count them along
Really
spring.
talk about it too much until I have a chance to research it.
Okay.
I'm a little concerned about stormwater. Basically, adding, developing 3 lots on a previous development, whether or not existing stormwater design can handle the additional flows. Some research, I think, that has to be done so I understand what's going on in the stormwater.
Okay.
I would consider this part of a larger common plan, and that the stormwater would all have to be designed for the entire development. And, So I think we're gonna need some more information on what the existing stormwater design, stormwater system is.
Let me ask you a technical question. Is this more of an amendment to a major subdivision? Or what is it?
Well, we can certainly look at that. Had this come, let me say, many years ago, it would be clearer that this was an amendment to a major subdivision. We've got a neighborhood that's been there for many, many years with some retained land, and whether this should be reviewed as an amendment to an existing major subdivision that's been in place for
How long ago?
decades.
30 years? Yeah, I would say.
Oh, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Or a 3-lot minor subdivision for retained lands, we can look at that. It doesn't really change some of the board's review, you're still gonna be reviewing those lots for purposes of topo. The big issue Wayne raises is stormwater management and compliance, and I concur with them that under the current regs, this would be viewed as one watershed and one common plan of development, even though it's been several years. Got to make sure that the existing stormwater plan for the project adequately handles the stormwater from these 3 lots. It is the same watershed.
I may provide some information. These 3 driveways are currently constructed, okay? They've been constructed for years. We were using some of the material there when we built the original subdivision, and I built basically pretty solid gravel road up into these 3 locations, okay? Most of the, I don't think the site is gonna disturb very much, because a lot of the runoff now goes into the two wetlands. Okay, and there's a lot of vegetation between those areas that the runoff goes to. So none of the runoff from this particular subdivision, and I'm more than happy to meet you out there if you want to look at this, but goes into the existing subdivision at all.
Now, when you say the roads are there forever, all three driveways or just maybe a universal driveway?
All three.
No, all three.
Going into the first section, okay, is, again, an existing gravel driveway now. And then they split off, the other two that split off are there as well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Pretty solid road right now, to be honest with you, because
It's pretty steep up there.
one of them is, the other two are very reasonable. The steepest one is the, what is it,
Yeah,
lot three?
yep, lot three.
Yeah, lot three is the steepest one. The other two are very reasonable.
Yeah, lot three is the one, we mentioned previously where we modified the gradient just an inch on the way up there to meet that 10%.
Yeah, if anybody wants to visit the site, I'm more than happy to meet you there. You can look at all the physically if you want.
Is there a gate coming from that thing?
Well, there's a cable across the bottom, but if you're going there, I'll take it down. If you want to meet me there, I'll meet you.
Okay.
So being that the subdivision was likely constructed, initially designed more than 30 years ago, that it was constructed 30 years ago. Really, none of the current design standards for stormwater design were in place when that system was constructed. This is looked at as individual lots, separately, not part of a larger common plan of development. It is disturbing between that 1 and 5 acres, which falls under the basic SWIP or erosion control SWIP connotation, where that's a design that does not require post-construction stormwater management practices. Because we're not disturbing greater than 5 acres of land, and we're not adding 25% or more impervious area to the parcels. You see the total, we could, of course, get the calculations on that area, impervious area being proposed versus the existing area, but it is certainly well under 25%. And the soils up there, we found during the gravel, during our septic testing, there's a significant portion of gravel remaining in that area. That was, the gravel used for 77, is that what it was? Was the gravel used for 77?
Yeah, originally, yeah.
Years and years. Yeah, so it's really fantastic run-of-bank gravel material we found on the bulk of the lots. So most of the generated runoff will likely infiltrate right into the existing soils.
The site is heavily vegetated at this point.
The way you certainly have indicated that you want
Yeah, I'm not making any determinations here. I should review this, correct?
Can we independently walk that site? Do you want, or do you want to be present?
Can they walk the site independently? Would you like to be present?
No, you can, if you just let me know, I'll just take the cable down and everybody can go up there independently, walk it, or I'll be more than happy to meet you there if you want to, that's one reason about it.
Maybe, do you like to walk the site?
Absolutely.
Okay, then maybe when you, make arrangements to be there, let us know.
It's going to be called you.
Yeah, call me, as long as it's not a golf day, you know.
Well, we can leave the golf course.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, just let us know, maybe, one or two, I mean, we don't want how many people we have, that we don't want it to be, interpreted as a planning board meeting, so.
That's true, and I can tell you, in fact, I had to recently review that issue for the zoning board here in town.
Yeah.
And there are decisions that indicate you can do a site visit, even if there's quorum present, as long as you do not deliberate on the application. It's for information gathering only. It's not a violation of the open meetings law. So in the event it so happens that four of you are together with Wayne, you can certainly walk the site, but don't discuss or deliberate on the merits of the application. You're just there to gather information.
Why don't you, deal with Kevin and coordinate that, just.
Yeah, I have to look at my calendar, it won't be next week.
All right, good call. Does anybody have any other questions? Obviously, this is we're going to be working towards getting sufficient information to have a public hearing on this.
Yes, yeah, that's our hope.
So, right now, you're under new business. We can put you on the agenda for our next meeting to move forward with any information you need. And, maybe by the next meeting, some of us will be able to visit the site. And, we'll move forward.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
So our next meeting is scheduled for the 15th of
15th.
September.
Yep.
Certainly put you on now you'll be on the agenda officially.
Excellent, thank you, we appreciate that.
All right.
All right,
Can I get a full-size set of plans?
there's, yeah. you
There's- To your left. There you go.
This left?
Your other left.
Okay, thank you,
So,
that was quick.
we can also look at those other electronically. So, whatever you prefer. All right, thank you very much for your time, we appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you coming in. Thanks, Kevin. Okay, so that's, Sage Brook. The other items we have on, two items, I thought.
Should just be, well, the next one should be a waiver for White Church Lane. The church is looking at selling the old Stevens parcel. They had used it for a parsonage, and then the maintenance man was living there, and he has since retired. And what they're just looking at doing is maintaining a small portion of that land for drainage. There's a drainage line that runs through there that they wanted to keep.
So this is just a 5-foot wide strip?
Just for the, so they can have the drainage on the church's property,
Okay.
because they're looking at selling this. They had the youth group meeting there, but there's more than enough meeting space in the church, so it just doesn't seem to get it utilized, so they're going to put it for sale.
This guy, okay, I'm thinking of something else. Okay. Just with that. I thought that John Scott was someone else. Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions on that possibly Chuck can answer? Seems just like a lot line adjustment. to me.
It's real tough to see.
Do we know where the stuff?
Got it in right there, yeah.
There's a thing for cleanouts, I'm not sure what that is. So they're right there,
Yeah. Do they know where the field is, or is that just a secret pit? What was the septic, was it 10-foot offset from property line?
I think that's.
That's the county's,
I mean, basically,
Minimum.
on that Sagebrook, that one lot, the proposed septic system is right on the driveway.
Well, the scale of that drawing is pretty small.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that back line is 1,000 feet long, so I thought the same thing. when I took that one.
Yeah.
That, this little thing is 100 feet.
So, I would assume that probably the applicant should include where the septic system is. Is there, you don't see any well or anything, that would be a well. I don't think they're public water.
maybe not.
everybody agree that that's something we should have on that drawing?
Yes.
Well and septic.
Absolutely. So I think if we could relay that to the applicant,
We'll do that.
and hopefully they can have that amended, the drawing amended to show that by our next meeting. We can put them on the agenda for our next meeting.
Is that enough?
Is there anything else that jumps out at this
Grab my
point?
scale.
On the legend, it
Look at
says
it.
septic
Yeah.
access.
I didn't grab
This is
the-
drainage, which I'm not so sure. Topo, we don't need fire topo.
That's the tank.
Pretty flat.
Where it goes, where the leach field goes from there, who only knows?
Back here.
Well, obviously it goes this way.
I would think, yeah.
That's the right answer, right?
No, Pastor's house, there's around in that line. All right. Roughly 2 houses.
So all we're doing on that is transferring that 5 feet to the church.
Yeah. But, the point was brought up, where is the septic system? Does the septic system go all the way over to this proposed lot? I think
Topo drops off in front of the house,
Yeah.
where it's White Church Lane.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that septic is on the nearest that line that they want to amend.
Yeah. All right, let's,
Find out.
we're gonna assume that they will make these corrections and, we will, put them on the agenda for our next meeting on this. Unless they can't get those amendments done, and then we'll just adjourn until time. Is there any other?
I have one other notice that I handed out. It is regarding a public hearing. It's going to be held the Tuesday after the Labor Day holiday here in this room at 10 a.m. It is from the Industrial Development Agency. And if you read it, it sounds to me like they want to finance the CVE Bel Air solar farm, including getting tax exemptions for their purchases of material, and could go up, well, to the point of actually owning it, I guess, if you read the second page.
The county owning it?
The Industrial Development Agency.
So now, is this something that the planning board should attend? Is it, or is this just noticing us that?
Well, it kind of perked my interest. I'd like to attend and let them know what I think about it.
Okay. You would want to elaborate on that?
We kind of bent over backwards for CVE, actually changing the zoning on one parcel.
Yeah.
And to turn around and have this happen where they're not even going to be able to collect sales tax on and the county's not going to get any money at all. The Industrial Development Agency is supposed to be developing areas for jobs. What kind of jobs is this going to generate?
You can weigh in here anytime, man.
Yeah, I'll certainly note that the town is aware of now the application that CBE made to the rest of the county IDA, and you can anticipate comments from the town on that.
I'm just trying to figure out whether we should be,
I think the town board will handle the adequately, the town will handle adequately comments on behalf of the town.
Okay.
It will certainly indicate the extent of the municipal review on the project, both by the, well, all three, the town board, the planning board, and the zoning board on the project. And it should be noted that nowhere in the earlier application documents, certainly on the environmental assessment form, nothing indicated on the submittal documents during the town review that IDA financing would be sought. So that's likely to be a comment of the town. And Chuck's correct, it will impact sales tax revenue for both the county and the town if approved. And it's not clear to me why mortgage recording tax and transfer taxes would be,
Waived.
wouldn't even be discussed, because certainly this board's understanding was this was under a long-term lease from the underlying property owners. So mortgage recording tax and transfer fees wouldn't seem to be relevant, but was included in the IDA notice, so it's unclear.
Okay.
Such a bad precedent.
I think the town will make note of that, David.
All right, I think that concludes business for this evening. I'd like to review our agenda for our next meeting on the 15th. I have, there's going to be a public hearing on the 15th for the Polson Development, which is the medical building. Sagebrook is going to come back. Brunswick Church is going to potentially come back.
An atlas for the secret determination.
And that is also that. So, am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I mean, if the Elmview Avenue, if we get something from them, they can go on as well. That was Bone Steel.
Now let's, then on the following meeting on the 6th, we have a public hearing scheduled for the Bailey Special Use Permit, which is the solar project that we just discussed on Wilson Road. All right.
Chuck, I think in that Bone Steel one, if something does come in, we can note it at the meeting on the 15th and then formally put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, because
Russ
they
adjourned
really-
it for that meeting.
They really didn't have a sketch plan conference or a,
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Is there any old business that we have to discuss? Hearing none, I will make a motion that we adjourn. Take a second. With a second, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Everyone have a nice holiday week.
Dug the hole for Wendy's.
Nah, not
quite yet. Did they hit a rock in there?